Evening all, Stephen here, welcome back to my fireside. I hope you're all doing well on this Saturday evening. I've remembered what day it is this time. I'm smoking another new one for me, Sutcliffe Barbados Plantation, which Burley, Cavendish, Virginia, cased with rum, as you might expect from the name. Smoking it in my mirror, unbranded, bought it second hand, but it's a nice little pipe. I like it. I'm listening to, I don't know if you can hear it, I certainly hope it's not too loud because I thought it was last time. Another great old blues man, Sleepy John Estes. And I'm drinking some Shepherd Neame brewery, Bishop's Finger. Dale Piper might say, no sniggering at the back about the name. Shepherd Neame, actually Britain's oldest brewery. I believe they were established in 1698. I think that's right anyway. Over 300 years ago. It's one of the most famous, of their most famous beers. And the name Bishop's Finger actually comes, I don't know if you can see on the label above Bishop's Finger, there's a drawing of a signpost. And the Bishop's Fingers were signposts on the Pilgrim Way down to Canterbury. Pilgrims obviously wanting a pilgrimage down to Canterbury Cathedral to visit the grave of Thomas Becket, the former Archbishop of Canterbury that was murdered in the 12th century, I think it was. Supposedly on the orders of the king, or whether his noblemen thought it was what the king wanted. You know, who will rid me of this troublesome priest and all that kind of stuff. So that's where it comes from. Those are the Bishop's Fingers, the signposts for pilgrims. Shepherd's Neame brewery is in North Kent. Cheers. It's a lovely beer. Come here, come here. So how are we all doing? Bit of a better fire this week than it was last week. I've been out foraging for wood. I haven't broken up any furniture. Not this time. Stick a bit more. It is nice to have a fire, but I think I've told you before, it does make a huge difference to the temperature of the room. One of the reasons being that this isn't the original fireplace. The original Victorian fireplace would have been much smaller than this, in keeping with the size of this room, which is actually quite small. It'd have been much smaller and set back further. But in the 60s, people obviously wanted to modernise these old houses. So they ripped out all the Victorian stuff, took out the fireplaces and bricked them up, took down the picture rails, the dado rails, cornices, they would have had decorative plaster ceiling roses, all ripped out in the name of modernisation. And then of course what happens is the wheel turns full circle, and a few years later original features became highly desirable. It was actually a big selling point for a Victorian house to still have original features. So I've only lived here 11 years, but I'm guessing that a previous owner, sometime, I think it might have been in the 70s, unblocked the fireplace and then went out and got this from a salvage yard. But it would have come from a much, much bigger house. And part of the problem with that is, I quite like it, don't get me wrong, but this metal fire surround, it sits proud of the wall, it doesn't fit right back flush against the wall. So also heat from the fire just disappears up behind that. I've got a picture of my house. When I moved in 11 years ago, my next door neighbour gave it to me. Mine is the top one, the White House at the top. Apparently this was taken in 1971. I hope I'm getting that in shot. I can't obviously tell. But yeah, mine's the house at the top. And as you can see, or hopefully you can see, you might be able to see, that surrounded by streets full of Victorian terrace houses. Built like this one about 1890. Because the expansion of London in the 19th century was incredible. I haven't got the figures to hand, but the population just exploded. And so that's our place for people to live, obviously. And what with the railways as well, that could bring people in from the suburbs. He's scratching. I wonder what he was doing. That he was choking for a minute. But all this area around here would have been like a working class area. As I say, street after street, narrow streets of small Victorian terrace houses. And they'd have been what we call here in the UK, 2 up, 2 down. So, as the name obviously suggests, you've got 2 rooms upstairs, 2 rooms downstairs. In the case of my house, divided by a staircase going up the middle of the house, across from one side to the other. So you'd have the front bedroom, you'd have a back bedroom, downstairs you have your front parlour, which is this room, which would very likely have been kept closed all the time and only used on high days and holidays. And the living accommodation would have been the back parlour stroke kitchen, which is where the family would all have congregated. No bathrooms, of course. You had an outside toilet and then a tin bath in front of the kitchen fire. Once a week or once a month, whether you needed one or not, as they say. But then eventually they would all, as I say, all have been modernised. It's kicking off. And usually the back bedroom, which is the case here in my house, would have been divided. They put a dividing wall in and then they'd put a bathroom and then retain some of the back bedroom as a smaller box room suitable for 1 or maybe 2 small children. And of course, one way that my house and the one next door has changed is we've now both got loft conversions, so you've got dormer windows and flat roofs up there. So I've got a 3-bedroom house basically, from what would formerly have been a 2-bedroom. I'll have a little drink. I'd like to cover some more history of this area. It's something that's quite interesting. So if you're interested, perhaps you could let me know down in the comments down below, and I'll tell you a bit about the local area. Something else I was going to mention it last week and I forgot. I've recently randomly clicked on a couple of my old videos. So I can go back and laugh at my own jokes, basically. Someone's got to do it, haven't they? And I've been quite shocked to see there's adverts in front of them. I just want to clarify that's nothing to do with me. I wouldn't monetise my channel even if I could. It's the copyright holders for the music that I play. And any pennies raised go into their coffers. I don't think they're going to get rich off it, but you know, every little helps, I suppose, as they say. I do enjoy this tobacco. You actually do get the flavour of the rum coming through. I find a lot of these case tobaccos you really can't, you know, they smell great, but you don't really get much coming through on the flavour. One notable exception I remember I haven't been able to get any for years. Cult Blood Red Moon. I used to love that stuff. Yeah, delicious. I don't think I've really got anything else to say. Don't have much going on in my life. That's the trouble when you're retired. But I've got an idea for a few things I'd like to talk about in future. And if you're prepared to listen to it, I'm extremely grateful. Coming back and making these videos has actually had quite a beneficial effect on my mental health, which hasn't been great of late. Not helped by the drug treatment and all that. So yeah, I still feel very, very rusty at it, but I'm quite enjoying it. No one could let me know what editing software they use. Because when I used to make videos years ago, I just used to use Windows Movie Maker because that's obsolete now, it's discontinued. It's not as though I would need to do a lot of editing, but I like not having to, you know, show myself sitting down and then getting up to switch off at the end, and like to make it a little bit more polished. No one wants to see me straining to get out of this chair. Anyway, I think I better go. I don't want to outstay my welcome once again. So, I'll love you and leave you. Raise another glass. Cheers. And I hope you're all well wherever you are. Be good to yourselves and take care. Here he goes. He's up. Ta-da, everyone.